Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be riding the 2025 Royal Enfield Classic 650. This is Royal Enfield's big retro cruiser. And yes, this bike has that familiar profile and aesthetic of the classic 350 single, but it's powered by the newer, more powerful, but still classically inspired 650 twin. Visually, the similarities between the 350 and the 650 are clear, but while both look to have been drawn from the same basic mold, actual dimensions are quite different. The 650 is a much bigger, heavier motorcycle. The devil, however, is in the details. The 650 doesn't just look like a physically scaled up version of the 350. It feels significantly more premium in terms of finish, materials, and overall presence. The teardrop tank is clean and classically Royal Enfield, and the chrome and paint just contrasts beautifully. The seat is also plush and wide and cantilevered, just like on the 350 and 500. You can tell Royal Enfield really paid attention to the finish of this bike. This is easily the best detailing I've seen on a Royal Enfield. For example, just look at the switchgear. They've done an incredible job getting that aluminum to a mirror-like finish. The dashboard is classic Royal Enfield, with all the information you need presented clearly and intuitively. The rotary toggle switches are also an especially distinctive retro touch. There's even a USB port neatly concealed just behind the left handlebar switchgear housing. The levers have also been given the same polished treatment, and both are adjustable for reach. So overall, on looks alone, the newest Royal Enfield is certainly a very attractive retro style motorcycle. One thing I did notice the first time I swung a leg over is that the 650 Classic is heavy. I think it's about 243 kilograms weight. So that puts it much closer to a Harley Sportster in weight than it does to its 350cc namesake. It's definitely heavier than the average 650 twin. In fact, it's almost 30 kilograms heavier than its cafe racer sibling, the Royal Enfield Continental GT. That extra weight comes from the Classic having a different frame with thicker steel tubes and more reinforcements. The Classic also has more generic parts made in metal versus plastic. All this added bracing and reinforcement is going to help with longevity and robustness, and it'll probably mean a more stable, reassuring, comfortable ride as well. But the trade-off is going to be reduced maneuverability and flexibility. But will the bigger, heavier Porsche Royal Enfield 650 Classic still fit the bill as a competent and comfortable motorcycle for the city? It's been my personal experience that 650 twins, especially retro styled ones, actually make brilliant city bikes. They're comfortable, agile, not annoyingly heavy, and the engines are well suited to low speed riding, which makes them feel right at home in urban environments, and that matters. because in the apparent chaos of city streets, the ability to move smoothly in traffic is an underappreciated art. The capacity to glide through gaps swiftly, effortlessly, and safely, when done well, can feel like a tightly choreographed two-wheel tango. And some motorcycles are simply better at keeping in step. First impressions of the bike: the riding position is bolt upright. The reach to the bars is short, and this is accentuated by the generous pullback from the handlebar, which basically eliminates the need to lean forward. So overall, a very comfortable riding position for low-speed riding. It also does make the 650 feel more like a modern cruiser than a retro classic. Officially, the seat height is listed as 800mm, but in the metal it feels taller, mostly because of how wide the seat actually is. It feels more like an 820mm tall motorcycle, to be honest. And in combination with the upright posture, this tallish seat gives you a very commanding view of traffic. It helps you see well ahead and plan and respond accordingly, which is nice. Incidentally, the bike I'm currently on has been fitted with a solo seat, and all bikes so will come with a passenger seat as well. The 650 Classic makes about 47 HP at 7,250 RPM and about 52 Newton meters of torque at about 5,650 RPM. This sounds about right for a retro air-cooled 650 parallel twin. Enough power to get you into trouble, but not quite enough to get the adrenaline pumping. But what it lacks in outright power, it makes up for in refinement. The engine is buttery smooth and the gearbox is slick, smooth, positive shifting. Neutral is easy to find, and mechanically everything just works intuitively without fuss. The whole package feels precision engineered and very well put together. Despite its weight, the 650 Classic is surprisingly agile. It turns in easily and holds the line with confidence. Handling is stable, predictable, and overall just very confidence-inspiring. It actually feels quite modern and refined at these speeds. To be honest, there's not a lot wrong with how this bike handles. However, at very low speeds, the 650 can feel a bit of a handful. At walking pace, the steering feels slightly heavy, and the bike's top heaviness and tall seat mean tight turns are going to require a bit more deliberate focus input. It's situations like these where you really appreciate firsthand just how physically large the 650 Classic really is. Because apart from that 243 kilogram curb weight, the Royal Enfield Classic 650 also has a wheelbase of 1,475 millimeters. That's longer than bigger retro cruisers such as the 900cc Triumph T100 Bonneville and the 850cc Moto Guzzi V7 Stone. Along with its weight, this extended wheelbase likely contributes to the 650 Classic's stable and composed ride, especially at highway speeds. The bike feels reassuringly sure-footed. And this is a standout quality of the 650 Classic. Its composure and plushness at speed. However, the weight and physical size also adds to the bike's substantial feel, and as mentioned, this shows up during low speed maneuvers. Lane splitting ability on the 650 Classic is pretty decent. The bars are not especially wide, and the steering lock helps it get in and out of tight spots. The mirrors are very good and give a wide, unblocked view of what's behind. Another standout quality I'm noticing on the 650 Classic, it has impeccable low-speed fueling, no surging, no sputtering at all, absolutely no surprises with the fueling. Never had to slip the clutch when speeds drop. And more than anything, this inspires confidence during low speed maneuvers. But where the bike starts to show some character or quirks is in its throttle response. The acceleration in the lower gears feels muted, almost lazy. You really need to work and nudge it into action if you want to get somewhere fast. Moving off from a stop and ridden in the lower gears, the 650 feels like it has a very soft power delivery. A bit like riding in rain mode, even though the bike doesn't actually have selectable riding modes. I suspect this is characteristic of the 650 twin platform and not something specific to the 650 Classic. The 650 Continental GT that I also rode recently only felt marginally quicker through the gears, and I'm attributing that to that bike being about 30 kilograms lighter. So generally, this is not an engine that likes to be rushed, that likes to be revved. The 650 twin is quick enough for city use, and it is practical fast. But it is no rapid deployment vehicle. In top gear though, the 650 actually pulls quite vigorously off the throttle, and I suspect this is due to its relatively short final gearing. On the highway, anytime speeds went above 80, I'd subconsciously be looking for a non-existent 7th gear. And speaking of highway manners, 80 km/h in 6th feels like the bike's sweet spot. And just as well, since that's the acid test. Efficient, comfortable operation at 80 km an hour. At this speed, the 650 Classic is smooth, very composed, and operating well in its comfort zone. But above 80, vibrations start creeping in at the bars and on the seat. It doesn't get uncomfortably vibey at those speeds, but it does get noticeable. With only 47 horsepower, the 650 Classic can still pick up the pace and hustle if absolutely required. This bike has good enough brakes and pliant, firm suspension for higher speeds, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. The engine doesn't really reward fast, aggressive riding. Other useful practical touches of the 650 Classic include a decent 15-litre tank and working on a conservative average of about 20 km a litre. We're looking at a 300 km tank range. The bike retails for about 15,500 excluding COE, so about 25Ks give or take on the road. While that's still a lot of money, it doesn't seem an unreasonable amount for what you are getting. As mentioned, the 650 Classic does have a premium quality and feel to it. And unless you're looking for another model in the Royal Enfield lineup, the 650 Classic is also the most affordable bike in this segment. Because as far as I know, if you wanted another mid-size, air-cooled, retro-style motorcycle, there really aren't many to choose from. We're talking either the Ducati Scrambler or the Moto Guzzi V7. Both are pricier than the Royal Enfield Classic, especially the Ducati. So alright, all said and done, given its relative advantages and disadvantages, how does the 2025 Royal Enfield Classic 650 stack up in terms of its concrete jungle navigating abilities? Well, despite its weight and size, the 650 Classic is still very easy and pleasant to ride in the city. The all-day upright riding posture is genuinely comfortable. It's a hot day today, it feels like 34 degrees, but I barely noticed any heat from the engine, even in traffic. So engine heat is basically a non-issue. And in this regard, the 650 Classic is clearly built with railway riding in mind. But it's not without its compromises. The weight and seat height can make it a bit tricky to manage for shorter riders. I'm about 1.76 meters tall and I can't flat-foot the bike. Personally, it'd be nice if the engine was a bit more zippy, a little bit more torque at low revs would not go unappreciated. But still, this bike has soul. It's refined, beautifully built, the sound from the engine is brilliant, and the design absolutely nails that retro modern vibe. And if you love the look and feel of the classic 350, but want something with better comfort and more power, or just prefer or need a physically larger machine, then this is it. It's a smooth, attractive, all-day comfortable bike, and if you plan to carry a passenger, I suspect they'll be quite comfortable too. The 650 Classic is obviously not a performance machine, but on real-world city roads, it is unquestionably in its element. Just as long as you're not in any kind of rush. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll see you in the next one.